Scrappy Friends. So I'm going to be using this layout right here in the sketch. And this is from Paper Issues. And this is their sketch for January. So there it is again. Double make sure that I have it on there, right? And I'm going to be doing some mixed media stuff. So I'm using some watercolors and I'm going to mix some pink type colors. I was trying to get like a light pink and like maybe like a peachy pink color because I knew I wanted to use some Maggie Home stuff and those are prominent colors in there. So I created this at the beginning of the month, so it has taken me a while to get this posted for whatever reason. It actually took me a long time to do. I really fussed with this one, and I don't know if it was because it was like one of the first ones that I did after I did a lot of my December daily. Like I was in the midst of doing it and I wanted to take a break, but this one took like 3 days, 3 or 4 days to do. And I generally don't like to take that long. So I'm just mixing the colors, kind of playing around, and I wanted these big strokes, but I really didn't like the way that it was coming out without using gesso. It's amazing how once you start using a product like gesso that covers your layout and makes everything um, more fluid once you put the gesso on. So gesso is a primer and it gives your page a tooth. So it's going to like grab onto some colors. And as you can see, it's even more vibrant. But it also slides around a lot. It's blendable a lot easier because it's not going to soak into your paper as well. So I'm trying to go for like an ombre effect. It doesn't, it works. It doesn't turn out the way I wanted it. And maybe that's why it took me so long. And so I'm using my heat gun a little bit to kind of try to dry it. The only thing I don't like about this is that it's creating those lines just from where the water's pooling. And I really didn't want that for this layout. I wanted it to be very fluid. I wanted you to be able to see the brush strokes because I mean that's why I use that big brush. And I really like that brush. It has like thicker bristles and so here's some white acrylic paint and I'm using this on top just because it's not as light as I wanted. The only thing about when I did this is it mixed in with the watercolor and it made it darker and then it blended it a little bit more. So here I'm playing around with the colors and I forgot that I added as much acrylic paint. So I'm adding some of the watercolor to the acrylic paint to get a little bit of a lighter color. Because the thing I found out with this set of watercolors that I got, they're very, very dark. And so it's really easy to use like almost too much. And so it's not so clear, like see through, transparent, that's the word. So I'm just going to draw the circles that were on the sketch pretty much. I'm not going entirely where all the circles were. At this point, I really have not too much of an idea of how I was going to go about doing using the circles. Like I didn't know if I was going to use the circles like to make my photos the circles. A lot of the layouts that I was seeing on Instagram from the ladies, from Paper Issues, from the design team, they had um, their pictures in circles. And that was a different element for me. So I was thinking that maybe, so here you can see where I added a little bit of yellow to the color, and it's really, really dark. For like, that was not the color I was really intending to get. And that's the only thing about when you are playing around with colors that you don't know entirely. And this is where having an art journal is very helpful. I should probably do more stuff in an art journal, but I'd rather spend time doing layouts. So, you know, sometimes you end up tossing layouts, which I don't toss it. I make it work for what I'm doing, but I tend to do that instead of scrapping it. If it was really bad, I would have. But so yeah, it's a lot darker, and so I'm gonna hit it with the gun again. But I'm really trying to be careful because I don't want any lines from where it pools. So, and as you can see, I kind of like fool around with it a little bit, fill some of them in a little bit more. I did try to get variant, like different colors, like do a variety of different types of the pinks and the corally colors. So, so here it's dry. And so I'm looking through my papers to see what papers I think will work good with what I'm doing. And I am mostly using the Maggie Holmes paper pack. I think that's pretty much what I use. I don't add too much paper to this. This is really mostly embellishment and stuff. Actually, it really wasn't that complicated. I don't know why it took me so long, except for just I couldn't commit, I guess. But so here I'm using those, and I had made those stencils like a while ago when I didn't have any punches, and I only have two punches anyway. So, but and I was thinking about maybe using that to make my photos round because those were around the same size as some of the others. And so this is where I'm like, okay, like I just didn't know if I really wanted to cut my photo circle. And I really liked these photos that I had of my scrappy area. And this is when I first moved my area. So, and the ink on one of them, the color was really weird. But I don't mind because it's not really so much about what the pictures are, because this is my goals layout that I'm doing. So, I really wanted it to be more of just like the thought process or like the theme of it. So, since since scrapbooking has become such a big part of my life, I really want to make sure I focus on some of my goals on this. So, so here I cut them down quite a bit. And I'm pretty sure at this point that I'm going to keep them square, that I'm not going to try to force myself to do circles and be like, hate it. I mean, I know I've seen tons of layouts, and I know when I was young, I cut photos weird, and sometimes you can regret it. Sometimes it can be amazing. And so I just wasn't willing to risk it, which is funny because a lot of times I tend to do that. But so I'm going to use this to put the circle background on to mat it. And I decide that I am going to cut this out just because I probably can use, I really like that dot and I figure I can use it. And so I don't always do that. And so I have a hard time because I'm like, one, my paper is really warped because I used a lot of paint. And just the way that cardstock is, it warps really easily. And I'm trying to figure out where I want to make my cuts. Because I don't want to cut too much off, but I don't mind that I cut where I cut it off. I actually, like, when you see it all together, I really like how it turned out. But at this point, I wasn't sure I was loving it. That's for sure. And I think we all have layouts like that, and we all have days like that or weeks like that where, what we're creating, we're not really sure if we like it or not. And I think that's part of the process of like working through it. Sometimes making layouts that you don't like, you kind of start realizing things that you do like. I know when I look back at a lot of my beginning stuff, I realize I'm like, wow, if I hadn't made those mistakes of over embellishing or I don't, over de-stress, making it distressed or something, that I wouldn't have learned how to make a nice, how I like that and the look of a nice clean layout. And I know, like I'm somewhere in between. I don't want it to be really clean. I don't want it to be over simple. And this is actually ended up being a really, besides the background, pretty simple. I do use some stamps. I forgot that I use stamps on here because you can't see them, which is fine because in the end, that's not really what I wanted to emphasize. I really wanted you to be able to see the circles. I wanted the circles, so I wanted those circles to be the focus. And so now I'm looking through some Chamel stickers to see if there's any round stickers, any colors that I think match. And I did find one. So I'm going to use this set of Dear Lizzie stickers because there's a round sticker that has like a squiggly line on it. And this is, I think, one of my favorite inks. It's called Brilliance, and it's like an ombre type of effect on the stamp. Yeah, it's called Archival Pigment Ink Brilliance, and it's in Aurora. That's the color. So it has pink, orange, yellow. And so I use that a little bit, and I use this white, and that is also that Brilliance, though I don't like it because it's not very opaque. So I'm going to have to keep searching for a white, which is not surprising because I'm pretty sure that most people would probably say that they're whites. It's hard to find a super, super white pad, just like it's hard to find super white ink for spraying. So, and I use um, another stamp, and I know it's Hero Arts, and I believe it goes along with Basic Gray. So here I'm taking my punch, and I had punched a few circles in just random paper. So, and I have that gold and vellum circle from Maggie Holmes from the ephemera pack, and so I use that on one of the circles. And so I'm just going to take bits and pieces and pretty much put them over top of the circles a little bit, just because I find that not everything in the circle I care for, so it does kind of help. And so I just play around with where I think they should go. I don't want every single circle to have something, but most of them I do. So, and I kind of move them around because I'm not really sure. And the nice thing about having the gesso on there is that it does help the adhesive come off a little bit more. So, and I believe this is like a whole nother day. And I'm fiddling around with my computer. I'm sorry about that, guys. That's one thing I wish I could change is I need to stop watching stuff or listening to music that I have to change every song, which I think is what was going on. Because pretty much now I mostly just listen to music while I scrap because otherwise I get too distracted. So I'm using that paper from Maggie Holmes that is the wood grain that has the ombre. And I believe that's called Moments Collected, but I could be wrong. It could be Sweet Story. But I really like the way that, those looked backed up on the behind those photos. It just gives a little nice matte. And I've been matting my photos a lot. I mean, sometimes I do a lot of layers, but this one I really wanted to keep it pretty simple because of all the stuff I'm doing in the back end with all the circles. I really don't want to make it too crazy. And so that is a Scraptastic wood veneer, and I really, really love this. I wish I had two of those. And so I'm going to use some glossy accents, and I'm going to put that over top of the photo. And I don't mind that it's over top of the photo because in that corner of the photo, there's not really anything of interest. That's a picture of my desk with my stand for doing process videos. So, and it got like a filter on it that has like sunspots or something. I think I was starting to run out of black ink or something, and I hadn't switched it out, and that's what it like the color. wasn't that great on it. So was the other one. And so I'm just looking through pieces. I play around, and I think sometimes that's really the only way that we can figure out how something is going to go is just by putting something somewhere and seeing if it works. I mean, and I know sometimes by watching these, you realize that something looked okay somewhere else. And so I cut this bullseye out of this card from the Maggie Holmes, thinking, oh, maybe I'll put that there. And I don't even end up using that. So now I have a card that has it cut out, a circle cut out, and a bullseye, which are really hard to use because it's not like I archer. I don't know. So I take this and I think I finally decide to commit to that. I put that on pop dots just so it goes over top. And like that one is over top of my photo a little bit too. And I use that pinked half circle wood grain. And I know it's like not anywhere near a circle, but I just liked the way that that looked. So that's why that one's went there. And then I do have that bottom stripe circle down at the bottom. So I play around with that again. That vellum year circle stays there. I play around with that quite a bit. See, like I waste a lot of time just like trying things. But I really wanted you guys to kind of see this process because sometimes not everything comes really easily. I mean, and I know like obviously a lot of editing was done to this because there was also a lot of times where see, so here I have Amy Tan stickers. This might have not even been the same day. Like I said, I worked on this a lot. So I'm going to take these Ellie Studio letter stickers and it's in a gray. And so, and I'm going to put 2015. And I decide to use the same font sticker for the whole title, which is not, I don't always do. But I just thought that it would look really nice. And I really like the way that gray complements those colors. So the title is going to be 2015 New Year, New Goals. And I do use, I think I use Heidi Swap glitter alphas too for part of the title. And I have it go around the picture because you will see that big circle underneath. I really do want you to see that. And I kind of want it to have that feel of the circles, even though I still kept the square or rectangle type photos. So, so like when I did my journaling, when we get up to that part, I do them like kind of in or around the circles. And I didn't do them like in a circular pattern because I didn't know how it was going to work. And at this point, I put so much work into this, I was not going to redo it. It was going to stay. But I really like these Maggie or these Amy Tan stickers because they're see-through. They really, really lent well to this layout. And so I think at this point I'm thinking about do I want to use the word do I want to use those word captions, phrases for to be like prompts for my journaling. And I decide, yes, I'm going to use it. I might as well, right? Because I probably don't know if I would ever be able to use them all unless I just threw it on one layout. So the first one that I do, and I don't do them in numbers, I just use those stickers as a prompt. And so and then I do add a couple. I forgot I added those Avalicious puffy stickers to them just to kind of like break up the different areas of where I put stuff. So that first one says happiness is homemade, and then I I journal, make the most of every situation. I can only change how I react to each thing. See the good in it and enjoy it. So, and obviously I'm not like overly being like, oh, this is my exact goal. And I think the reason why is because if I don't set this like super specific goal, I won't have to worry about not following through with it. I know that's horrible, isn't it? It's horrible. It's horrible. I mean, and obviously I have a few goals in my brain that I would like to accomplish this year. Like I want to create more, but I don't really want to do a set amount that I'm going to create. So number 2 says be mindful. And it says think about how I react. And it's kind of similar to that first one. And it says change starts with me, spend extra time with God each day and make life have purpose. So that was one of the specific things is that I know that, the less time I spend focusing on me, I can be a better person, really. So, I really wanted to make sure that I focus on my relationship with God so that I can be a better mom, be a better, friend, neighbor, just person in general, you know. So, and then the smaller one that I'm not working on right now says always together, and it says spend quality time with my family. And then do it without electronics because that's something big. Like sometimes we'll all be sitting around in the living room, and I'm sure this is like common. My kids will be watching whatever, and I'll be sitting on my, phone checking Facebook. And that's a hard one because I really enjoy spending time with you guys and spending time with my friends on Facebook that I've met in the scrappy areas, which is really where I hang out now. But I don't want it to completely take away from the time that I have with my kids because they're little now and they're not going to be little forever, and in a few years they're not going to want to hang out with me. And then I'm going to have to go through this separation thing and be like, who, what do I do? So I don't know. I really want to enjoy the time that I have with them. And so I'm just putting a few little snidbits of stuff on there. I put 15 for 2015 and then I add an exclamation point for after. I don't know why I did that. And then I do, oh yeah, I forgot. I use Lindy Stamp Gang in my orange and pink because I love those. They're like watercolors. And they show up better with the watercolor on, as you can see. Now this is wet. Those pictures were taken when they were still wet. So when they're dry, it looks less nice, like vibrant. And real quick, that last one was Stay Curious. And it was I just made a thing about being more creative and stuff. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you liked hearing what some of my goals were. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.